Hi, friends. Good morning. I'm Brent, pastor of the local church, and I certainly pray that you all are safe and warm this morning. I miss being with you in person here at my home in Pittsburgh. The ground is covered. Um, it was sleeting outside a bit ago. I haven't been out recently. Um, and I won't be on here long, but just long enough to say hey and check in. I've got a grounding moment for us this morning, and then I want to check in and share a few words. So I'll just begin with a grounding moment. If you are here, let us know. Say hey. Um, get your voice in the room, as it were. Um, So glad that you're here. As we say every week, the local church is an unapologetically inclusive, Jesus centered community. Wherever you are in your spiritual journey or no journey at all, you have a place at the local church. We're more whole with you. Whether church is your thing, used to be your thing, or has never been your thing, you belong at the local church. We're so glad you're here. Jane's here. Good morning, Jane. Glad to see you. Welcome, welcome. The grounding moment I have for this morning comes from Padraig Otuma's brilliant uh, collection of prayers, daily prayer called Hey Laura, Being Here. I think it's maybe backwards on your screen there. Being Here is what it's called. And it's the opening prayer that accompanies every day. I've used it before, and I think it's fitting for us this morning. Hey, Sue, welcome. And so here's our grounding moment. Invite you to be still and anchor yourself in this grounding moment. Take a deep breath in if you need it. Exhale, plant your feet, wiggle your toes, and let's just be quiet for a moment. Turning to the day and to each other, we open ourselves to the day and each other. This is the day that the Lord has made, and a day we'll have to make our way through. Whether with ease or pain, with patience or joy, may we find opportunities for generosity toward others and ourselves. May we find moments of encounter, even in isolation. May we find stories and memories, even in the most complicated corners. May we start again where we have failed again. May we confess and be confessed to, because this is a way of living that's worth living daily. Amen. I just love this line. This is the day that the Lord has made, and so often our response that we've been trained, that's embedded in us, is let us rejoice and be glad in it. And some days we don't have it in us to rejoice. And so I love the way that Padraig responds. This is the day that the Lord has made, and a day we'll have to make our way through. It certainly feels like that. Sometimes maybe you're feeling like that this morning. And if you are in good company. Lisa's here. Good morning, Lisa. Janet and Joe, good morning. Krista, hi there. Welcome, welcome. Pam, good morning, Pam. What I want to invite us to do now, if you feel like it, it's invitation, not mandate, is to offer a 3-word check-in. This is something we did very early in the pandemic when we were online, just to connect, just to describe how we arrive, to build community that way, even in distance and apart. And so invite you to throw 3 words into the comments that describe how you arrive this morning. 3 words that describe how you arrive. Again, this is invitation and not mandate, but would love to know how you are, since I can't look you in the eyes this morning. Hey, Robin. Robin's on YouTube. Jerry's here. Garnet's here. But three words, I think for me, cold, weary, and angry. Um, Cold, weary, and angry. How I arrived this morning. I wonder about you. You can be honest and you can be authentic. You can be you. Um, we'll continue to track them as they come in this morning. I know that many of us this morning are carrying a heaviness and a grief, a rage, even perhaps like me. Um, Janet says sad, broken heart, Brooke, heartbroken, angry, tired. I feel that. I feel that. Good morning, Heather. Glad you're here. And so whether that is heartbroken, angry, tired, sad, brokenhearted, I know that many of us are carrying that today at the murder of Alex Preddy yesterday in Minnesota, an ICU nurse at the VA, one whose final act was to help a woman up who had been shoved to the ground. Alex, a child of God, brimming with sacred worth, one who God called and still calls beloved. It feels like we just did this, right? Because we did. Jerry says angry and sad. Lisa, angsty, disgusted, angry. Yeah, yeah. And at least for me, that's what's so gutting is because it does feel like we just did this. This is not the country that my parents told me about, the vision that they cast, indicative of the values instilled. This is not the sort of world that I want my kids to inherit. And I know that's true for so many of you. And perhaps my biggest fear, or at least one of them, is that I will grow numb to it all, that I'll be desensitized to these images the more that we litigate and relitigate and examine every angle, looking to entrench further our position. I don't want that. And so if you need someone to say, this is not normal, this is not okay, I got you. I got you. Let's remind one another of this truth, that none of this is normal. And y'all know, I hope by now, and if you don't know me, then you will, that I'm not one to immediately jump to hope, to offer empty platitudes, hollow hope, cheap spirituality. And so I'm still wrestling with it all. And if that's you too, I want you to know that you are in good company. And as I prayed about what to share this morning, what I have is this. This is all I have this morning, the simple truth that I believe deep in my bones that you are not alone, that we are not alone, that you are not alone. And this is powerful, and this is important, and this is good news, because the powers and principalities who tell you not to believe what you see, who are hell-bent on division and discord, who thrive on attempts to convince us that we're all alone, because that's how they survive. Their whole game is to isolate and cut off, but you are not alone. And that's why this theory word check-in is important. That's why it's important to be here this morning as well. That reminder that we are not alone, that you are not alone. And I know that we're not alone because when I turn to the Psalms, I find solidarity. I find words, prayers echoing through generations that give voice to my feelings when I can't come up with the words myself. In my grief, I remember Psalm 42, where the psalmist writes, "My tears have been my food day and night. When people say to me all day long, 'Where is your God?' In my numbness, in my disillusionment, I hear Psalm 88. But I cry to you, Lord. My prayer meets you first thing in the morning. You've made my loved ones and companions distant. My only friend is darkness." That hits. That hits, at least for me. And in my rage, I hear Psalm 22 echoing the very words that Jesus drew on when hanging from the cross. My God, why have you forsaken me?" Those words. All of it a reminder that you are not alone, that even Jesus, Emmanuel, God with us, knew what it was to feel distant. That when our hearts break, God's heart breaks too. That lament isn't the absence of faith as much as it is a faith that tells the truth, that refuses to lie about what it sees. And I also know this is true, that we're not alone, that you are not alone, because of what I experienced and so many of us experienced this week here in Chatham County. I know that many of you were inspired this week by the Buddhist monks on their 230-ish mile, 2,300-ish mile walk for peace from Fort Worth, Texas to Washington, D.C. They passed right through Pittsburgh this week. I hold the images of yesterday and Friday, Thursday, and Wednesday. I hold all of those images in tension with what with what we experienced yesterday in the murder of Alex, and earlier this week, and a 5-year-old boy used as bait. I hold all of it in tension. I had the privilege this week, along with a handful of others from the local church, to offer the monks breakfast on Wednesday morning in Siler City before dawn. And then again on Friday night, I got to take dinner to them. And I know many of you greeted them throughout the week, bore witness, and walked with them. And so I don't have to tell you what a powerful experience it was in a way that I still can't explain. Simply being in their presence offered a profound sense of peace. They embodied it. They exuded it. It felt so different. And I think that's why so many of us were drawn there. The thousands in attendance on Thursday night at the fairgrounds, the thousands more lining 64 on Friday, hoping to catch a glimpse, on tiptoes with phones out, wanting to capture the moment so that they could hold on to it. People weren't just curious. They were clamoring, longing for a different way of being human together. And I think for me, that so many rearranged plans and left work early and got their kids out of school to bear witness to the prospect of peace that can feel so elusive, that gives me just as much hope. That reminder that we are not alone. I want you to hold on to those images from this week. On Friday night, when we got to take dinner to the monks, some soup, a volunteer who was there asked me if I was Buddhist. And I said, no, I'm a United Methodist pastor who also happens to be deeply committed to the way of peace. As so many of you I know are, so many of my colleagues I know are. And for me, that commitment to the way of peace is rooted in my understanding of who Jesus is, the one who breathes on his disciples, who sends his Spirit on them and us, who says, peace I give to you, gives his peace, inviting us to carry it and embody it ourselves into this world. This is how I know, too, that you are not alone. Last night, a friend sent me this Instagram post about a conversation that author Bell Hooks had with the Buddhist spiritual leader Thich Nhat Hanh. She came to him with anger and was wondering what to do with it because it felt like too much. And reflecting on the conversation that Bell Hooks had with Thich Nhat Hanh, Bell Hooks said this. She said, of course, Mr. Calm himself, Mr. Peace, said, well, hold on to your anger and use it as compost for your garden. Hooks also said, and I think that if we think of anger as compost, we think of it as energy that can be recycled in the direction of our good, it is an empowering force. If we don't think about it that way, it becomes a debilitating and destructive force. Let your anger become compost for the garden. I love that. And I wonder if that's what the prophet Isaiah was getting at as well when he cast a vision for swords becoming plowshares. Not just that something might become something else, but that tools of war might become tools of cultivation for community. That weapons of violence and bloodshed might make way for something different to take root, seeds that can be planted in the deepest darkness of the earth, to become food and sustenance and shade and shelter, hope for a world that is longing for it, clamoring for it. And so I want you to know this, you who are longing for peace, You give me hope. And I want you to know this too. You're not crazy, and you're not alone. In the name of the one whose very being, God with us, is evidence of that truth. Amen. Friends, I pray that you'll stay safe and warm today. Check on your neighbors and your loved ones. Let us know if you need anything. Take some time for Sabbath, and may you have a peaceful day. Peace, friends.